Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Those Guys with your host Matt Marrero, along with, where is Satish Ram? I have no idea. I think he's dead. Seriously. He said he was watching Mike Tyson Mysteries, and now he's nowhere to be found. Well, I guess I'm going to start the show by myself. First off, hello everyone. This is Those Guys, or apparently that guy today. We usually talk about a variety of shows, and right now we'll be talking about Mike Tyson Mysteries, episodes 6 and 7. Episodes that I found to be a bit weak, I think, compared to the first, to the earlier ones. And, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed the episodes. I can't say that I hated them. But what I will say is, fuck you, Satish Ram.
It's actually more of a fuck you BTR thing.
Okay.
No, because I actually called in on time, about a minute before, because I finished the episodes right before. And It's like, welcome to Blog Talk Radio. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And then I heard nothing. And I'm like, oh, did Matt put me in already? Did we start the show? Because I know that their clock runs different than ours.
Yes.
And it just hung up on me. And I literally, I'm going to be honest with you, I took about half a minute to sit there with, my hand on my face, okay, I have no idea what the hell just happened, but I'll just try again. I'll just try again in hopes that this time they will accept my call like the other 500 times.
Yes, you may have called before me, but usually they let someone sit in there even if I, the host, official quote-unquote host of the session, isn't in there. So
but, I guess the good news is I did see the 2 episodes that we're going to talk about, so I guess that's relevant, because it would have been really bad if I called in and had no idea what we were talking about.
Good. So I was starting it off with, being, hey, it's Those Guys. I'm Matt Marrero, and you're...
Yeah. No, I'm Satish Ram, and I know we're talking about the new episodes of Steven Universe, which are pretty good, of course, because the new one's coming out tonight.
I really enjoyed that they had that Mike Tyson crossover, though. I mean, the fact that he can just come in and just punch monsters in the face was great.
Well, we were talking last night about Steven Universe being good for kids, and then you have Mike Tyson coming in and being inspirational in 2 episodes that were very important, I think. It's weird, all jokes aside. I guess, maybe the series has lost a little luster for me because the scripting isn't as perfect as it was before.
Yes, me as well. I'm happy that we can see eye to eye on that.
I still think it's funny. I still think it's funny.
Yes.
I'm not going to lie to you. I just think originally it was so ridiculous that it didn't take itself seriously, and I liked that because it was just so freaking out of it. Up to about the one with Robert Redford when they were out, the Fight or Flight one, I thought was pretty funny. But
so the first episode.
No.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. You said Flight or Flight. My bad. For some reason, immediately I thought about the original episode. Don't ask why.
No, it's okay. The first 5 or so, I think, were really big hits for me. I didn't like Mike Tyson, I think. Well, that might have been 6. It may have been 5.
No. So the first 4 were a hit for you. You didn't like 5, which was Mike Tyson. And now we're on 6 and 7, which was a very long title involving a river.
I love that because it was a great joke.
Yes.
Because a river runs through it is a famous musical piece. And then a heart of darkness is also a very famous phrase. So I just love that they were a river runs through a heart of darkness. And literally it was about a river running through what they called the heart of darkness.
Yes. And then, of course, kidnapped. Like you were saying, I kind of agree with you, where I'm not saying that they were bad, but there's something that they've lost, and I don't know what it is, and they may just get it back, but there is something, that isn't there, that was there originally.
Yeah, and to be fair, I say it in the vein of, I'm being a harsh critic. I do still like the show. Like you just said, I don't think it was bad. I did like both episodes. A lot more than I liked Mike Tyson, to be honest with you. I liked both because I got a few good laughs out of them. Especially, I think, A River Runs Through because of, the ridiculousness of it. And that was the first one, right?
Yes, if it makes you feel any better, Hugh Davidson, wrote the first episode. And he's had a piece in writing every single episode. But when you look at something like Mike Tyson, there were actually 3 writers for that one. It was Hugh Davidson, Larry Dorff, and Rachel Ramras. Mm-hmm. So That's the thing. So I think maybe
it's a case of too many cooks spoil the broth. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah,
where
it could be that.
And I'm sure they're all talented in their own right. I don't mean to take anything away from them. I just feel like maybe the scripting was a bit more amusing to me, like early on, in terms of like the first few episodes. And if that was all Hugh Davidson, that makes sense because.
Well, he worked with others, but that was the first time he worked with not only 3 people. Or 2 people, third including himself, but it was also, again, different people each time. But the first time it was just him, and in episode 6, A River Runs Through It Into a Heart of Darkness was just him as well. Which I will admit, it felt weak to me. But then all of a sudden, when it really started to pick up and just be complete nonsense, I was kind of into it.
I think it was fairly like basic to me until like we got to Mike's speech. Like, when he met up to I was laughing at some of the stuff. I mean, it was just general, like, what we expect from the show in terms of Mike not knowing anything about Yoon-hee's actual heritage. Just, you're Korean. That's a type of Chinese. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah, and it was just great, too, because it's just one of those things where it's like, where did you learn that? It's like, at home, when I was homeschooling. Like, not even, it's like, I went to school, a home school, I was a teacher.
I fucking lost it. When Yoon-hee was
you.
complimented, the guy's like, "Oh, you are a very intelligent young girl," and he's like, "Yeah, that shit was me. I homeschooled that shit." And then after, he was like, "But you don't know everything," and he was like, "Well, sometimes you can't blame everything on a teacher. You can't make a souffle out of garbage." And I was like, "You fucking." It got me to laugh. It did, because I'm like, of course, like it's just so ridiculous. I like when the series looks at itself that way, because. I think in the beginning I said when I first saw the 2 episodes, I was like, there's a place for this series. And it's okay to have, like, ridiculous comedy, that no continuity, that kind of stuff, if you know that's what gets you viewers and what makes the show attractive. Not every show has to have emotional depth or, like, anything, especially with a 12-minute show. These are essentially, like, shorts. So it's fine, in my opinion, to do, like, a straight ridiculous comedy style. So the more of that I think that they incorporate, the better off it is. Yes.
Also the fact that Pigeon can read, I'm going to say Mandarin, but, quote-unquote Chinese, I think that's great. Just, again, Pigeon can read that. It's just, no, my name. It's Richard. Really? Because you look like a pigeon. It's like, God.
I like the little foreshadowing, just the entire thing where it was like you find out his name and then you meet his father-in-law. But
yeah, and his father-in-law is totally, like, I thought it was going to be a revolt, kill him. It's like, oh, no, you two will be able to make it. Don't worry.
I like that, though, because apparently that means he liked him. It's just,
yeah, a lot, apparently.
It's just, you all will work it out. And plus, you're in the prophecy. And it's like, what?
What I loved is that apparently not only is the Doomsday Prophecy something that Mike Tyson taught in his curriculum.
Yes.
I want it to be known that he actually knew about it beforehand.
Yeah, no, it was just so funny
curriculum.
to me, because he was like, what about the end of the world? And then he reads this, and it's like, oh, it's not new. It's not new information. And it's just, why are you acting so surprised, Yugi? This is in the... It's like, oh, my fucking God.
Oh, my God.
No, it's the script against me, because, I mean, you've got essentially, like, 11 minutes to impress me with comedy. So a lot of one-liners, a lot of, like, ridiculous stuff. The line that I quoted you in text to Marcus still really cracked me up, though. When Marcus was like, actually, titles can be removed over numerous reasons. He's like, fair point, Marcus. You get a point for that. But you lose a point for being a dick. So you back at 0. And I was like, motherfucker. That was really funny to me. Like, I couldn't stop laughing because I was like, God damn it. So I like that kind of stuff. Like, I like this first episode of River Runs Through Heart of Darkness because it was ridiculous that Mike in his head, the fucking Nicaraguan canal has a dream to be the world heavyweight champion of canals, and he's just like, yeah, I'm okay with that. And it's like, what the hell?
That is exactly what it is.
And I love that, like, the guy's trying to give him financial reasons, whatever, and Yoon-hee is like, no, that could be really bad, etc. And Mike is just concerned with the fact that this canal wants to be the world heavyweight champion of canals.
Right.
Which is great, because I think that makes perfect sense. Because it would have been really weird for me if Mike started breaking down like GDP, because it would have been funny as a one-off, but it wouldn't have made sense based on the character that they built up, that he suddenly randomly knows everything about economics.
basically, yeah. So he just has to, just pop up and just do this. Just be like, yeah, you know what? And by the way, the fact that he has to stand on everything for his speech is great.
Yeah,
he
no,
has to get on top of everything.
I loved later on when he was just like, look, it's not working because I have a table. And I'm like, fuck. And later on he finds a table, but it's their sacred altar. But
yeah, it's like, that's their sacred altar. Don't do that.
No, I really do think this was actually one of the good ones. It was okay. Like, I Kidnapped was a bit like hit or miss for me, but this one got a good few laughs out of me. And just like from the beginning, it's like apparently he's got. I like that they keep at least the idea that Mike doesn't have as much money as you think he would, because it's like, when did we get a jet? No, we didn't actually get a jet. He just has a whole bunch of frequent flyer miles. And I laughed because immediately he's like, let's go to China, and then realizes, right, they're in Nicaragua. The message was just in Chinese.
It's okay, Ling. I'll let you spend a minute with your home country.
That was like it's like, okay, lowbrow racist humor is what it is, but it's expected with this show. Like you wouldn't, you knew from the beginning that's what.
It's a weird thing, I think, because like you look at something, let's say like Archie Bunker, right, where it's one of those things where it's just like, did the people who make it are racist? It's like, well, I mean, the character is. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where it's like they made Mike Tyson not even into a racist, but into an idiot. So
Mike is not being intentionally racist. Where like it's even one of those things where like among friends you joke like you're Chinese, that means you speak Japanese, right? Like no, it's not actually one of those like racial intentional jokes. Mike actually believes that like Jung-hee is apparently from a part of China.
Yeah, so that's the thing where it's just, I mean, I'm not saying that, now we have to write every single character not knowing that they're racist because, ignorance is a thing too, of course.
Right, ignorance is not an excuse.
No. But at the same time, it's just, a situation where, I feel like when humor is not intended to hurt and people can either give disclaimers before it and I forget, but I'm pretty sure there's disclaimers before this and at the end of this. Sadly, they're sped through, but, there's always something that says, hey, doesn't support our views and also not based on real. I would love the not based on real people one at the end of Mike Tyson Mysteries. This was not based on anyone in real life.
I don't know if that's actually there. I don't think that's there. And I laugh because we've had actual people in, like, not their actual voice actors that sound like Mike Tyson, but we had Robert Redford, we have Thomas Watson.
Yeah, but the point
Trevor
being
Burbank.
is that, I feel as if when it comes to humor and, it comes to comedy, I feel as if, I mean, I personally don't like to just get out there and just be offensive and stuff because, again, if you're being offensive just to be offensive, it kind of becomes stupid. But in this case, I feel like they're just trying to be ridiculous, and offensiveness comes along with being ridiculous sometimes because, some of the things that Mike says are truly ridiculous. That's the thing, where it may end up sliding into racism, but they're also truly ridiculous. So there is again, maybe there are some people not maybe, there are definitely some people in the world that think that way, but hopefully if they really think that way, like they're really going, oh no, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, whatever, same thing, right? There's no differences in any way. And then they watch Mike Tyson Mystery, they flip it on, they're like, oh, that Mike Tyson guy's an idiot. Yeah, no, you like some kind of Chinese, right? Korean, same thing? They're like, shit. If the idiot on the TV show says that, maybe I shouldn't. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's one of those things where you're not supposed to root with. Yeah,
I hope you're right in that. Because
you're not
I get
supposed to sit there and root with, because again, Mike Tyson in this show is a complete idiot. I mean, everything is wrong that he says, and if it works out, it's by accident.
I do think it's one of those things where I grew up watching a lot of stuff with. All right. I'll give you examples right off the bat. Robot Chicken, from different time periods in a way, too. Robot Chicken, South Park, and the Boondocks. Okay. And so the Boondocks has a ridiculous amount of offensive shit. But by God, that's one of the best shows I have ever seen. Watching it beginning to end. It was glorious. And so I grew up knowing that I found myself attracted to comedy that may not always have been politically correct. And some of it is offensive to people, But at the same time, I mean, in the right context, I let it pass for me. Like, I understand where it's like I'm not going to encourage people to do it, and I understand that, as Matt just alluded to, being offensive just to be offensive is not funny. And if the entire thing is just like one large blob of like offensive jokes, it's not going to come off as funny because at some point you feel bad about it. But like when you sprinkle it in over like the course of this episode, where it's like it was early on, where they were like repeatedly doing the whole like, okay, Jung is from China apparently in Mike's eyes, and that was that. Like that was pretty much it in terms of like the racial stuff outside of the language barrier jokes, which I thought was kind of amusing because it just fed into Mike's idiocy. Because the guy's accent wasn't even thick. So it wasn't even like he has a thick accent, they were mocking it. Mike just assumed that because he was a foreigner, there was a language barrier.
Well, his accent is thick only in the sense that it's not that you can't understand him, it's that he's actually a very famous actor, and we all know him. I just can't pick the name, and sadly the internet doesn't want to give me the name. But you know the voice actor.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in many, many things. Like, you clearly know his face, but I can't picture it right now. I'm sorry, I can picture his face, but I can't picture the name right now. And sadly, we have no fact checker for this episode. We're fact checking.
I mean, I'll look into it, but
and of course, the episode ended with the prophecy coming true, which is great because I don't want to spoil what it references because in my head it's like I know what it references, and I realized wait, no, that might be a spoiler on air. But there's a movie.
What do you mean?
That was referencing, at least I would assume it is, a movie where it was all talking about the prophecy coming true, and at the end of the movie, it ended with the prophecy coming true, and it didn't continue. It just ended right there, where it was just like, well, you know what? If it's going to be the end of the world, fuck it, we're not going to die for this. And then, basically, the prophecy did, they didn't let they didn't let the they didn't let the sacrifice, because it was technically a ritual. They didn't let it work. Like, if you don't sacrifice yourselves, the whole world will go under. Fuck it. And then,
That's interesting, because, you've obviously seen more movies and shit than I have, to be honest with you. So, like, you'd be able to pick up more just things than I am, very, very simply. But I don't know. I mean, it just makes me wonder, I guess, because I just thought it was a ridiculous, like, how freaking ridiculous can we get? Like, can we give the Earth a penis? Yes.
Well, no, obviously wasn't a reference.
You know what I mean? I understand you're referencing, the prophecy of the end of the world coming true. Like, but I assume you're not referencing the Earth having a giant penis and slamming it into the moon. I assume.
No. Also, Mark is saying, been there. Apparently.
I laughed so hard because I'm like, they're really just trying to, like, make Marcus seem really, really, really gay. And so they're trying
also, he's very catty. That's the thing, too, which sometimes people put as
they're trying to fit what they think are gay stereotypes. So they have gay stereotypes in Marcus, who's supposedly, flamboyant, has a lighter voice, that's what they think, is catty, as you said, and is very interested in, like, fashion and looking good, as implied in the, was this episode where he says, I bought you that Yes, it is. With the, like, you should try this hairstyle out.
You can pick it up every once in a while. I mean, it's like, damn it.
I just laughed because I assumed they were implying that the Earth's giant penis slammed into the moon without any lube, and in his head he was like, been there. And I'm like, oh, God. I just think it's funny because, and Pigeons made many jokes to him being a homosexual as well, Marcus. So, like, it's amusing because it's like, all right, I guess that's the narrative they're going with. Because, again, like, the show is lowbrow. It knows what the fuck it's doing in that sense. So it's not going to, like, create the most well-crafted character. It's like, no, he's gay, and we'll make him fit gay stereotypes because of it. It's like, all right.
Yes.
That's what you're doing.
Also, he's a real person, by the way. I think we've discussed
God, I found that out, and I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah, the ghost is a ghost of a real person.
Yeah.
So I want that to be made a thing if anyone doesn't know.
Apparently, anyway. John Douglas, the 9th Marquess of Queensberry. What's funny is that he, apparently, and this is why it's relevant, He was a Scottish nobleman, and he basically helped create the rules that form the basis for modern boxing.
Okay.
And that's relevant because of Mike Tyson. So, of course, they're like, you know what?
Correct.
For a second, you sound like you didn't get it. You're like, what is Satish getting at? And I'm like, because Mike Tyson is a boxer. So, they
because
picked
he isn't anymore. So to me, it's like, it's not a show about a boxer. It's a show about mystery gang team.
Right,
so
of course. But
Mike
Tyson, the reason I assume he's friends with Mike Tyson is that they're implying that Mike was the best boxer in the world. So, of course.
Because he had a ghost helping him.
That or just he's somehow interested in Mike Tyson because just straight up, this is a modern good boxer. I will.
Actually, no. I'm sorry. He actually didn't have the ghost helping him. I'm an idiot. No, what happened was because remember the canon, because there's a canon here. Basically, from the looks of it, Mike Tyson, was at his worst. After being at his best in the ring, but he was at his worst in life. And then Marcus came to him to help him,
and told him
he
stop living for himself.
Yes, which thankfully his infant daughter also did.
That's still funny to me. That's still
all right.
There's certain things in the show still roll with me. I was in Barnes and Nobles the other day with my friend, and I randomly burst out into laughter, and he's like, "Why?" And I point. It's a book by Cormac McCarthy. I just kind of giggled because I'm like, a centaur wrote that book. And he starts laughing too because he's like, "Fuck," So I just laugh at the bluntness of this stuff because something about one of the things about South Park that appeals to me in certain episodes is their willingness to spoof people or directly reference people, not this character was based off, in terms of Mike Tyson Mysteries, they have some ridiculous random appearances of characters like Robert Redford or Cormac McCarthy, and it's like, what? Okay. Or Elon Musk, the astronaut.
Yes. But anyway, so now that we jumped to episode 7, we're kind of it's very interesting. Some of our other shows. Of course, there's a lot to gush about when it comes to Mike Tyson Mysteries, but something about it just seems a lot more fast-paced and less plot relevant. So it's we've literally been talking about this one episode, and it's we're not even halfway through the show yet, and we've already finished it.
No, that's the thing, because it's like, okay, we have an episode of Mike Tyson Mysteries, and as I said, it's comedy, straight comedy. So what happens, when we podcast about, let's say, a similar show, Steven Universe, of the same time frame, Universe has plot relevancy or something that could be plot relevancy or theories about plot relevancy that always come up when we talk about this. But Mike Tyson's Mystery is similar something let's say, is more similar to something like Space Dandy, where although that had plot and continuity, over the half hour we can talk about it, but it's hard because it's basically just us rehashing the jokes that we liked and whether we thought it was funny or not.
We got to talk more about Dandy, baby.
Dandy was supposedly very good because of the ending. I know that we don't always mention it much, but I really did like that anime.
We got to go back to Dandy was our first ever BTR show, so we have to go back to that.
Wow, that's kind of a flashback.
I know, right?
We were active
1 year
since early
coming
last
soon.
year. Yeah, I'm about to say
1 year is coming up soon.
Wow, and we're going to do nothing about it.
We're going to have a super special giveaway to ourselves. Send us donations.
I told you, we should just tell people who we are. They don't know who the fuck we are.
Right? Just hi. Who the fuck is that? Well, they're from those guys.
I would laugh so hard if it comes on. And it's like, how the other night when you were imitating R-Truth and you just made him British? I could just imagine, hello, my name is Matt Marrero, and this is my actual voice. The voice I put on for the radio is exactly what I think you would like to hear. But this is what I actually sound like. Matthew Marrero is actually my stage name.
No, that wouldn't work. Everyone would want to hear that voice.
No, just this 8-phrase name where, that's not actually your name, but it's like Terry Baleo, brother, sister, brother. That's your actual name, not Matthew Marrero. Matthew Marrero is the stage name because you've assumed. Yes, the third. Or the 9th. I like the 9th because in my head it's ridiculous to think that there's 9 of one of the same name.
Right, and it's Terry Balea, brother, sister.
Yeah.
Funny song. Right. So anyway,
Junior.
So we jump in episode 7. I like that the episode opens up with Mike completely, and I knew it was going to happen. I fucking knew it was going to happen. Just how could anyone think that this is, Miami, Florida? I mean, come on, my ticket said. Yeah, well, some people get confused. Ohio. And I was like, damn it, Mike.
No, it's funny to me because in my head, it's like Miami of Ohio, and I'm like, oh, he's in Miami. You thought he'd be in Miami, Florida. I'm like, I thought he'd be in Miami, Florida. I wasn't listening that closely. I just assumed he was in Miami, Florida because I heard Miami. And then I was like, fuck,
Me
Miami
too.
of Ohio. Wow.
I feel like that actually happened. Like, I feel like that joke was only written in after one of the people on staff, possibly Mike himself, was just like, oh, yeah, so where's Dad?
No, I can just imagine.
Like,
somebody, like, even just one of them has, like, a kid applying to college. It's like, yeah, I want to go to Miami University. You know, Miami University in Ohio. What the fuck is there Miami University in Ohio for? And just, I love Pigeon later on. Just, do you think Miami University in Florida, you know, do you think Miami of Ohio is pissed that Miami University in Florida doesn't have to say Miami of Florida?
You know, I laugh so hard.
To answer that question, I do think they're pissed. I would be pissed if I was in Miami of Ohio and I had to say, yes, I'm in Miami of Ohio University. Like, they don't have to say Miami of Florida University. That's a mouthful.
Oh, my God. Yeah, no, that's just great. But, yeah, also, apparently Marcus hates Asians, according to Pigeon, according to Richard.
Pigeon's an ass. And I like that that's kept consistent. Like, he has moments of, like, just sobriety where he feels bad, and he's just like, man. Like, in the last episode, just like, man, if I had known, I don't know if I would have came. And just, like, running back the whole list of events of, like, meeting Sandra and then cheating on her and being turned into a pigeon, which is apparently the actual canon. Like, we have to accept that as the actual canon now, which I think is funny.
It's happened a few times, and apparently she's a witch, I guess, or something.
Or she was practicing witchcraft. So apparently he wasn't just a guy named Richard who was turned into a pigeon.
Which, by the way, makes a lot of sense when you see where her father ended up.
I suppose, mainly because they're more understanding of the fact that he doesn't wear a shirt.
Yes, that's the only reason why. So when I look at this episode, you know, again, it was a bit weaker than 6, but I mean, there was some fun stuff. Obviously, you know, Pigeon being Pigeon and not being overly offensive, which I think is also interesting. Where it's just one of those things where, like, I did not feel like that was offensive in the way that, again, it was just, of course, Marcus does not hate Asians, but to fit your narrative, you're going to screw around with them and just completely switch it all over. Where it's just, you know, switch it all up. Where it's just like, why do you hate Asians? No, I'm legitimately asking, what's wrong with Asians? Come on, tell me.
Yeah, no, and I think it's interesting because I don't know if I want to sit there and try to analyze Pigeon's, like, motives. It was like, is he trying to cover his own ass? / does he actually care about Young-hee? / is he just worried about being, like, kicked out by Mike? You know what I mean? Like, I
feel like it's one of those. I feel like it's like a pie chart, but I mean, caring for Young-hee isn't the largest one. But I think it's a pie chart.
It is there a little bit, right? I would assume.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. But again, pie chart. So it's not like, you know, and it's not an overwhelming care. It's because, I mean, also the fact that, you know, in a way he was entrusted to her. So the fact that he lost her is like, shit. You know, like, I mean,
I loved the beginning, though. That whole idea, like, you know, Mike said we could work on a mystery while he was gone. Okay. Where's Young-hee? No. She said her exact words were, "You should take point on this. You should take point on this, Pigeon." And then Marcus is like, "I don't know why, but I believe you." And I'm just like,
he stuck to it. He stuck to it. Yeah.
And it was funny because, like, you could tell, like, okay, so Pigeon's trying to fucking save his own ass here, but
also, what I love is that apparently Mike Tyson not only has never graduated college, which sadly I can see, but high school apparently. Because the fact that he looks at their hats and he's like, "Why are you all wearing hats? Like, everyone here just wears hats?" And I'm like, "God damn it, no, stop it, Mike, no." And it's
it was funny because I thought, based on the beginning of that speech, that it was going to be really stupid.
Yes, of course. And it did, but then it all came together without realizing it. And that's what I'm saying. Like,
I liked it.
Like, damn it.
I'm not going to lie to you. I really liked it. I just thought it was interesting as hell because of the whole idea of, like, when we look at this, it's just, hey, we're talking about hats. And they cut away from that, and I'm like, God damn it, because they already said earlier in the episode that Mike is not reading off a teleprompter. He is just doing it. He's extrapolate. He said, I don't know, he fucked it up, and I laughed. but I can't remember which is the right word and which is the wrong word now.
Extrapolating? But I mean, I don't know. Oh, you mean he didn't?
I think extrapolating is the correct word, and he said extemporating or something, and I was like, God damn it.
You know why that's great though? Remember extemporaneous speech?
Yes.
That's wonderful. If anyone doesn't know, depending on what you've listened to, with what we've done, I'm a speech and debate coach. So it's really funny that, and of course I've dragged Satish into the world with me of the evil underground world of forensic science. So,
Catholic school speech and debate tournaments. Okay? It's a dirty, dirty world. Think of Balls of Fury.
Oh, no. I haven't seen that movie. But anywho, no, but seriously though. So it's great because he said the wrong word, but it's just like extemporaneous.
He said the wrong word, but he said something that actually made sense if you're able to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. But yeah, so apparently Mike Tyson never graduated. Also, I love that his daughter was just, he's going to save me somehow. And yeah, she was correct. Also, by the way, I was really happy that they have a commencement channel, like a commencement speech channel, because that's how I feel about certain channels. I'm not going to name any on our show for obvious reasons, but let's be honest here.
Because they might sponsor us.
Just all I'm saying is that there are certain channels that I sit there and I just think, what was your original purpose? And when I find it out, I go, dear God, how far have you fallen?
It's so funny for me because I sit there and it's like, you look at some channels and it's like, well, what was your intention when you pitched this channel to the network? And then I sit there and it's like, so who was more lost? The companies that accepted this or the person who had the idea in the first place? Because I sit there and I laugh because even the commencement channel made fun of itself. Where it's like, thank you for watching the commencement channel. No, seriously, thank you for watching the commencement channel. We didn't think anyone would watch.
No, and it's like completely legitimate. I couldn't even laugh at it. I just sat there and I nodded. I was like, yeah, because that's what television is nowadays. I have 1,000 channels plus, and I sit there and I'm like, all right, what do I need versus, and then of course, you can't really get rid of certain channels because then it's like, oh, I don't want that channel. Well, then you lose this whole package. No, but I like this one. All right, then you keep the package. No, but I meant, So you have 1,000 plus channels, right? And then you look at some of these, and it's just, you're like, why is this relevant? And it's crazy, too, because, I'm wondering when the commencement channel is just going to pick up a professional wrestling show. Because I've noticed most channels, not saying
now I know what
bad
channel you're mocking. Now I know what channel you're mocking for sure.
But I
think it's funny.
That's the thing. I'm not mocking a specific channel. In fact,
yes,
it's
you are.
The idea that but it's just very interesting that certain channels you're like, what is your purpose? Not saying that they're bad channels because I can name a bunch of channels that have done this, and I'm not think that they're bad channels. I'll name them right now if we deem. Yeah, you think I should just name channels?
Destination America.
But the El Rey Network as well, which again, I don't think either of these channels are bad. But I sit there and I'm like, all right, what is your original purpose? Right, your original. And then when I find it out, and then all of a sudden it's just, but we also host professional wrestling now. And I sit there and I go, wow.
Well, El Rey is a bit different because remember, El Rey is Robert Rodriguez's network, and the professional network, professional wrestling show that he sponsors is also his. So, it's kind of a thing where, Donald Trump would show his own TV show. Or, Oprah would show her own, So that one's a bit less, confusing, I think.
I can't wait for the Oprah. I can't wait for the Oprah wrestling. That'll be great. The Oprah Wrestling Network.
That would be funny because they've already got an acronym for it, like OWN, right? Oprah Winfrey Network. Yes. And I feel like they could just have something. Like the OWN Championship sounds like a thing to me. I would fight for the OWN Championship. People would be like, what is that? And it sounds like, because we had OVW, and there was an OVW Championship. So I
want to put out, not only is it you haven't even made it, it's like, be like, I own this championship.
Yeah.
The OWN Championship.
And I could imagine the terrible puns that, the heel manager would have in place there. Where it's just like, you have to own it to really be a champion. Oh, no, I see what you did. Shut up.
but seriously though, all jokes aside, again, there's nothing wrong with these two channels, but there are many channels I'll bring up others so that I don't make these two feel like we just picked two channels. You look at something like even when Spike when it had TNA, and you look at USA.
USA, okay.
I know.
So it's weird because USA was smarter in picking up WWE than Spike was in TNA,
right.
But in terms of line of programming, it's a lot weirder for USA to have had wrestling or Sci-Fi to have SmackDown than it is for Spike to have had TNA. Because Spike was originally the Man's Network or
quote unquote, yes.
TV for men or something like that. So they tried to fill it with things that they presumed to be masculine, like cars and women and 1,000 Ways to Die, hardcore blood, gore, dude, bro, and wrestling. And so in my head, I'm like, okay, so Spike, because I think Spike used to have velocity or heat.
I believe so, yes. Anyway, so the point is, when we bring everything back together, we're not making fun of any channels, but, because you don't want to sit there and be like, who watches this? But what I do want to say is,
the commencement channel. But yes.
But that's what I'm saying. What I want to say is, with the vast amount of channels out there, you know what I'm saying? You sit there and you're like, what, what's, how, who has the money to fund all of this stuff? And then, you hear about the commencement channel. And honestly, I'll admit, I was going through, I was searching through UFC stuff, right? Because I want to get into UFC. So I was like, let me go see some fights. Let me record, DVR some fights. So, because I don't want to pay any money because I don't have any money. So I'm like, let me DVR some stuff. And you're sitting there, it's just like, hey, do you want to hear about, UFC, obviously UFC weigh-ins. Hey, how about, the build-up to the fight? Is it the fight? No. But it is the free build-up to the fight. So much kind of, but mind you, it's one of those things which is someone is paid for either these build-ups or these weigh-ins to be on television or even just news on UFC. And all this stuff regarding, and I know UFC is rather large and has a large fan base, but my point is just that, again, airtime is going just to be like, this guy weighs this much, this guy weighs this much. When you see the weigh-ins and then comments on the weigh-ins and stuff like that, it's very interesting to me. So that's what I'm saying too, where it's just the idea of there's so much out there, and it gets to the point where it's like a commencement speech channel because people enjoy commencement speeches. There are enough commencement speeches to keep it going, and we're going to keep it going. And whenever there's a new commencement speech, we'll air it live. And you sit there and you're like, that actually doesn't sound crazy.
Yeah, no, I just think it's funny.
If you have enough money.
I know that if Verizon, because I have Verizon Files, if Verizon put the commencement channel on my package, I would probably tune in sometimes.
Depending on who's speaking, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they end up going on YouTube anyway. Why not watch them live?
Yeah, because I don't some commencement speeches are really worth watching, and being someone who really enjoys public speaking and one day intends to be important enough to do a commencement speech, probably not at my own college, but at maybe a high school graduation or something, I don't know. But
right.
I don't know, I think it's cool. And I like them because people always work hard to think of something inspirational. So it's not the most ridiculous thing in the world to me.
Yes, and as you know, also, in speech and debate, there is a category, at least in our league, there is a category for using speeches given by others, and they don't always have to be commencement speeches, but there are a lot of commencement speeches that end up being used because, those are speeches. But anywho, moving forward, this is a very speech and debatey episode, I think, for some of the little. It's just
it is in a way.
I would have to tell my kids, go watch the speech and go watch the commencement.
Yeah, go watch it. Red, yellow, red, yellow.
But so anyway,
that's all they pick up from it, cause
that's all they pick up. Yes. So anyway, so apparently Marcus as a ghost has to pee, so they don't care anymore. They care that he's dead, but they've just gone, you know what? Fuck it, give him human
and
everything.
Ghost dollars.
Well, no, he was being an ass.
Yeah, I know. I just laughed.
Yeah, but oh my God, I sat there and I was like, really? I was like, this is what we're doing? I was just it's like, why did I drink all that water? Well, I don't know. I was like, the sleep thing got to me, but it's like, you know what? Fair enough. You can't just be conscious all your waking, if you were a ghost and you were always conscious, the idea is that you would just go, I would argue you would go crazy. Like how that's why we don't always stay conscious. So it's like, fair enough. If you're a ghost, all right, you're going to go to bed, quote unquote. But it's just like, yeah, no, I have to pee. I drank a lot.
I was okay with it. I think it's like, although you're right, they don't care anymore.
Yeah, for humor's sake. But yes. So apparently, Pigeon's idea, which I have to admit, it's genius only because he's dealing with Mike Tyson, is to find an Asian stripper, say that she is Mike Tyson's daughter, and roll with it. And I really have to admit, because he's dealing with Mike Tyson, the plan is brilliant. Also, that would have been a great way to actually write off his daughter.
What's funny?
I was wondering if they were going to.
Yeah, I was wondering, are they doing that? Or B, how consistent are they now going to be with this new character?
They may not be consistent at all because of the whole end of the world scenario a week previous. But what's interesting is when you look at a show like Space Dandy, which actually had an episode deal with the end of the world, right? Which is really funny too, where it's like the episode dealt with the end of the world, and it was the first episode, and then all of a sudden the second episode is everyone's fine. But they met someone in the first episode who was still with them throughout their travels. So you wonder, is it a thing where characters are okay, even though no other characters really come back other than the main cast, but are characters okay? I don't know. It would be funny if but from the looks of the promo, she's not on next week's, from the look.
No, but she is apparently now part of the opening.
Yeah.
I liked it.
That was great.
It's like the kind of fourth wall joke, the idea that, she's part of the team. So immediately she's part of the opening that none of the characters are supposed to know anything about.
Yes, and then in ways that worked well for some, and then in others are just completely fucking ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the fact that it made her look like she was the main person on the show, which is great because that happens a lot, where it's just, good-looking female with large breasts. Quickly, put her on the cover. Sir, it's a James Bond film. Regardless, why do we need Bond on the poster? Well, like little things like, I've never really seen that, but that was just a funny example. But usually I see stuff like that, where it's just like, focus on the lady, doesn't matter what the title is. She's only a new character, she's only in there for 5 fucking minutes, but that's what we're doing.
Mhm.
Yeah. That was great. I think that was the best part of the episode, I would say. The remake, just because, again, you sit there and you're like, she's the new member of the team. Oh, my God. But, yeah.
And I still like the theme, so it's funny as hell.
Yes. So, Satish, unless you have anything else to say, we've reached the end of our program.
That's kind of crazy.
I know, with 15 minutes to spare.
We basically covered all of it, didn't we?
Yeah.
Wow.
To think, I'm never this fast. No one can see me. It's really funny, because, I put on a really sad face, but, no one can see that because we're on the radio. So, but yes. It's one of those, no, I do that all the time where I'm just like, yes, Satish, rock on. No one can see my thumbs up though, so it's just people sit there like, is he being genuine? It's like, no, I fucking hate that guy. But anyway, so we've reached the end of our program. We would like to thank all of you for listening to those guys talk about Mike Tyson Mysteries episodes 6 and 7. Not before 7, but not before 6, 6 and then 7 right after. But yeah, there's a lot of other places. We have so much time. It hurts me. It's weird. Usually I'm sitting here, everyone, and I'm like, and then you have to get on this, and then the social media, and now it's just, I can breathe. Well, let's breathe. So we have ourselves many different ways you can either contact us or find our old shows. We have our main website, which is also our Tumblr, thoseguysontherradio.tumblr.com, where you can find all of the older stuff that we've done, which is WWE Raw, WWE Pay-Per-Views, Gravity Falls, Steven Universe, Gotham, Flash, Arrow, Dragon Ball Z movies, Bleach movies, Pokemon games, and many more. Oh, Black Dynamite, as well as the earlier episodes of Mike Tyson Mysteries. We also post our shows on our Facebook, which is /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio, our Twitter, @ThoseGuysRadio, our Instagram, /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio, and on iTunes, which you can just search up Those Guys Radio, and you will find all of our previous shows. Now, we also have our Gmail, thoseguysontheradio@gmail.com, where you can email us if you want to have us promote your product or your item on the show. And you can also just send us show suggestions through our Gmail or through our Tumblr, because there are many shows that we may like that you might not know about, or we may just want to experience because you are passionate about it and you tell us you really have to check out this show. And we can easily talk about it. Also, we have ourselves a YouTube channel, which we've posted videos from on our Facebook and our Tumblr. And, yes, we also have a Vine in the works. So, yeah.
That's about everything, I think.
I believe I covered everything. I love the iTunes thing. That always gets to me. We're just like, hey, it's weird because it does take away, let's say, from our, from some of our other stuff. You want to go on our website or whatever. But still, the idea that we're on iTunes, and iTunes, from what I hear, is a pretty big deal.
I'm glad
everybody kind of uses it, from what I hear.
I'm very glad we're on iTunes. Not even, no joke.
Yes. All right, then. So, good night, everybody. It's the middle of the day.
Good afternoon, everyone, I suppose.
Good afternoon.
I know, right?
No, it's one of those, we usually do nighttime shows, and what's even better is that there are some people that are listening to this in the archives, so they're just like, we have no sense of time. Currently, the alien overlords have come down and have seized all of my items. I am listening to you through the last remaining cell phone, and man, this was a shitty podcast. Yes.
We did good. We covered everything.
Yeah, we did good. All right, so goodbye, everybody.